Everything is different for altcoins now that Bitcoin is showing us weakness. Today I'm going to be showing you guys 5 major altcoins and where the exact levels I will be buying them. Given that the market is now in a decline, it's a crucial time in crypto to get prepared for the bull market. So if we plan this out correctly, we're gonna absolutely crush it. Okay, so we're gonna jump right in, and the first one we're gonna do is Ethereum, because I told you guys it looked okay, but now it's starting to show weakness, and so we wanna plan where will we be buying our Ethereum, what levels are key. So if you look at my chart and you've been watching it, you probably have seen those levels before and where they are. So what we do is the same thing. We always look for the levels where it tops out, and when we break out of those levels, we look at where would the price retest. We've already seen a retest over here on Ethereum at the 21.3 level on the 3rd of January, but likely because we are starting to see a lot of bearish signs, like our Chiku span's almost below the candles, and we also see that we're really tightening up. We came below the Kijun, and now we're retesting it. So we're seeing that maybe there's a lot more sellers in the market now than there are buyers. This isn't a chart really that you would be trading though. Why I say that is because we don't have all the factors yet. So you want to be kind of cautious that you don't get on the wrong side of the trade. So sometimes doing nothing is better than doing something. This is potentially one of those cases. What you want to do here is look at where are the buying levels. Where would I be buying my Ethereum back? Let's say I've sold some, which I have. We did get to my 2650 level. I sold some Ethereum. I'm holding a lot of my Ethereum. So if you're holding your Ethereum, that's okay. We know Ethereum is going to go higher in the bull market anyways. I'm going to be buying at these key levels. The first one being 21.3. That's a level we retested as well as support. But if we retest something a lot of support, sometimes we can break below it easily. So I'm looking at that as our first level. We also see it coincides with 100 EMA. That's good. It could come and wick into the cloud and continue going up. And that would be in total, and we always see these 20, 30% retraces. That would not be a very large retest, only 20%. So if we're looking at the worst case scenario, we're looking at if Bitcoin goes down to those crazy levels that we were talking about in yesterday's video, we could see Ethereum come all the way back to $1,700, $17,500. That would be a oh my God, amazing opportunity before the bull market starts. Could make a lot of profit from that trade. What you can do here is set several orders. So what I'm doing personally is I'm setting some at 21.3, some at $2,000, and then I'm kind of waiting for it to slide all the way back down from that lower level, all the way into 1,700. People always ask me, Coach, will these all fill? I don't know. There's no guarantee that they'll all fill. There's no guarantee one will fill, but if you plan it out, the worst thing that can happen is your buy order sits there, it goes back up, and you can cancel it and buy back in a little bit higher, but at least you don't end up in a situation where you miss out on a wick like we saw on January 3rd, and you could have made, you know, from 21.3 all the way up to 26.5, $500 per Ethereum, and sold and make some profit on that. That we never know. So that's why you plan it out. So those are the 3 levels on ETH. 21.3, 2010, and 17.15. Around those levels are where I am going to be buying Ethereum. Next up, a very, very trending coin that went pretty ape, if you can ask, if we can say it ourselves. We saw on from the SEC dump, it went down to $13. I bought around $14 most of my Solana, and I haven't actually bought more Solana since then. I did sell, and I told you guys about this, at $118 because selling some of our bags that are up 10x is never a bad idea, and we usually have retraces come on. Now with Solana, we're seeing that the Chiku span's gone low. We see a potentially bearish TK cross here, and we're about to break into the cloud. Likely, there's a few levels on Solana that most people would say watching this video that are really bulls on Solana and will not suspend their disbelief. They would say that would not happen. It's not possible, but it's very possible, and I'm gonna show you exactly where the levels could be. I talked about Solana going to $70, way up over here, probably around $100, $108. Why? Because that's a key level for it. So I could see us going back to $67 very easily, and it would be very coinciding with a bearish TK cross, our Chiku span being bearish, and a break into the cloud. We can see that it at least goes to $70, and likely will go to a key level right here, which also has 100 EMA. So there's support there. There's a couple levels of support. So a good place where we could see a bounce. Now, if we continue to slide down the chart, we can go all the way to $53 and then down to $47. We got to scroll out to show you where that is. These are like kind of key levels that we broke out. We broke into in 2021. We broke out of in this year, in 2022 when Solana went on its crazy run. And now we're coming back to those levels. So I could see us coming into this zone right here, which would be, you know, a huge dump for Solana. Like, we would be looking at Solana going about 60% lower. It's less likely, right? So instead of us trying to guess, that would be somewhere I would put a low ball order. But in general, I'd be looking to buy in these three levels. Number one at 79, number two at 67, number three at 53. Now, obviously 53 is also a very low level. It's almost 60% retracement, but it's very possible to happen. So we must plan that out. And the first two levels I definitely would be buying personally would be at 78 and 67. I would spread out my orders more heavy on those. Not too heavy, but like 60% of my pot would go into those levels. And then I would set the little low ball orders there just in case they hit, because you never know. Crypto is very erratic sometimes. Moving on to our next coin. This is a new one, and I've been talking about it a lot. Sui, their ecosystem is great. They did have a nice Kijin bounce. So when we're looking at a chart, this is actually bullish. We had a bullish Chiku span. We're above the candles, and we were pulling down to the Kijin, and it did bounce there, but not really strong, right? We've had like an 8% bounce off the Kijin. So this could have been a trade that I would actually go in, but I'm looking at the macro market and I'm going, Bitcoin could be pulling this down. So the risk reward is not so great to be in a long here. If you want to buy Sui, we should be looking at, okay, it's gone up a lot. Where could we buy it back? Well, your first key level here would be the Kijin. We've already tapped that. So likely if we would tap that a few more times, we break low anyways. So I would be buying first at around 89 cents, second around 78. And those would be likely the levels that I could see it come down to. Now, could it go lower? Yes. But I think with a new robust ecosystem and not having all the vesting of tokens starting for a few months, as I've shown you guys in previous videos, it's likely that those would be the key levels that we could potentially make a good profit on. So what you can do is you can set those orders there like I am and just wait patiently, because if they hit and we start to see the market turn, these could go at least like a 2 or 3x from those levels, and it's a spot trade, so your risk and reward is a lot less than using leverage. Next up is BNB. Now with BNB, we're seeing similar signs that it's kind of running into the candles. It's holding the Tenkin a little bit, but this could easily break down here, right? And I'm looking at BNB and going, you know what, this easily could come back down to 276. I set a buy order there like a week ago, thinking that, you know what, we've ripped through this level, we never retested it. I'm gonna set a buy order here thinking that I'm gonna get filled on that at some point soon. And BNB could lag here and then definitely come back and retrace. So I'm looking at that the first level. And the second level is kind of very close to that as well at 265. So they're very close together. So I'm not gonna put like most of my bag into those buys. Like if I was gonna buy 100% of my assets that I wanna buy in BNB, I would put maybe 40% in those levels. And if I don't get filled, that's okay, because there's another level at 250 below that, and I would put a little bit more in those levels. So let's say I did 20%, another 20%, and then I did 40%. I would look at those three levels as where I would be buying. And next up, you could look at where were the wicks in the past. So around 225. Less likely to happen always. If you plan these things out, you leave them on your exchange in limit orders, and what happens is they fill without you even realizing it, and all of a sudden you end up looking at your account and going, where did the profit come from? And it's that filled. So that's why plan it out, because if you don't, you will not do anything and you will miss out on the opportunities. One thing to also keep in mind is we're seeing a potential bullish golden cross where we have the 100 EMA cross up above the 200 EMA, which is bullish. Now that could easily just fail, so we can't plan on something that hasn't happened yet, but I'm very weary about BNB right now. It could be faking people out very easily from these reasons, but again, I am going to place those orders. I will buy them at those levels, and if they don't fill, I will still have USDT to use for whatever else I need to. Last but not least is one that's been very sideways through the whole entire cycle of Bitcoin basically getting through its ETF, and that was Link. And Link has already shown us a lot of bearish signs. Okay, so this is something, to be honest, we've seen Link get into this bearish Chiku span. We've seen the green level right here cross below the red. So we have our fast EMA below our slow EMA, which is bearish. And we've kind of tested inside of the cloud, and you could see that my level that was right here at $12.62 already would have hit twice. I hadn't set an order for it yet. I was just kind of waiting. I got a huge Link bag from much lower, but I did take some profit up here because I saw we're kind of stagnant right in this upper levels, like not exactly at the top, around like $16. I was taking some profit on Link, saying, okay, maybe this would come back down. It's not the bull market yet. What we're looking at in terms of where I would buy is that same level. And if we break it to the cloud here and we close there, that's a really good indication right now based off where Chiku Chiku span is, the bearish TK cross and the cross into the cloud, that would be a great edge-to-edge trade. So edge-to-edge trades work like this. You wait for them to close in the cloud. So let's say it closed in the cloud today. And then I'd be looking at above the red level right here. So above our Tenkan, I'm gonna set my stop loss. And I'm gonna aim towards the bottom of the cloud or right around this 200 EMA level, which would be a 4-hour trade. That is a great setup. Now, if you don't know how to trade this, it's okay. Just wait for it to come down to that level. If you didn't know what you were doing, let's say you don't know how to trade and you're like, coach, I don't trade. What you can do and what I'm gonna do is buy at the $12.60 and the $11.50 levels. Those are levels I'm gonna be personally buying. Now, what happens if we have a worst case scenario? The worst case scenario would that we would come all the way back down and retrace fully to about $8.85, $8.80. That's a worst case scenario. That's a large drop. But again, Chinese New Year, all these things are coming. And so it's better to be prepared for what might happen. But yes, would you probably only fill? It's very likely you would only fill that, that down to 1150. Likely, yes. But prepare always that small transaction that could hit that bottom level that may just wick. And a wick is like that big, huge, long stick, which we saw over here where it wicked into that level here. We watch for those types of levels so that we can basically get filled and be ready when everyone else isn't. Now, make sure that you guys are watching tomorrow's video, because in tomorrow's video, I'm going to show you what one of my friends did last cycle that earned him $250,000 without investing 1 penny of his money, just a little bit of his time. So make sure that you guys are subscribed for tomorrow's video.